It's Matt here for Newsshooter.com at IBC 2019. I'm with Paul from Sound Devices. Now, this is your new MixPre 2 series.
Yes.
Tell me all about them.
Okay, well, about several years ago we brought out the MixPre series. It was our first mixer recorder, multi-channel mix recorder for the like the YouTuber, podcaster, videographer market. We brought our well-known audio quality from our pro-end equipment to a wider audience. We've learned a lot over the last few years, and this is what's given rise to the MixPre 2 series, which is new hardware. They look very similar on the outside, but inside there's like more powerful processing, there's extra circuitry. So what are the key new features? Well, probably the number one feature is now that all the three models in the MixPre 2 series, the 3, the 6 and the 10, all have timecode generators as well as timecode readers. The first generation only had timecode readers in the 3 and the 6 models, but not timecode generators. So that is a really useful tool for anyone recording sound for picture. It gives you that huge flexibility. You don't really need any of these external mini timecode boxes anymore with this built in. So you can jam the unit to timecode, you can provide timecode to cameras from this unit now.
And it also, you told me before previously that this will actually take HDMI timecode in from a small mirrorless or DSLR camera that can generate its own timecode.
So you've got HDMI timecode, you can bring in normal LTC timecode over a 3.5mm connector, the aux in, and you can take the timecode out via a 3.5mm jack connector on the other side of the unit. So very accurate timecode. You can power down the unit and it will retain that timecode count accurately for 4 hours. So you don't need to rejam when you boot up. So it's a really nice tool. Moving on, another key feature of the MixPre 2 series is 32-bit float support. Now what that essentially does, and I don't really have time to go into the detail of this, we've been used to using 24-bit in the audio industry for many, many years, even decades now, and that's been more than ample dynamic range for great recordings. So you think, well, why do we need any more bits than that? Well, 32-bit float essentially means that you cannot clip a recording. You cannot overload recording, no matter if you crank the gains way up to maximum. You will not. It's almost like raw recording for audio, okay? And on the other end, you can now have your gain set so low that you're recording at, say, minus 100 compared to your peak level. You could then boost that and you still won't get any additional noise. Now, this only works well if you have a really, really high quality input stage, mic preamp and ADC circuit. So that's where the real engineering skill comes in, and we've actually got a patent on the way we do that. It requires actually at least dual stage ADCs to make that dynamic range work. You need over 140 dBs of dynamic range, which is wider than the dynamic range available by the most high quality microphones. You need that dynamic range, and to do that you need to have multiple ADCs. We've patented our way of stacking these ADCs in such a way that there's no distortion between the transition between these ADCs. That's the way we do it. You can find out all about that in detail. If you want to read patents, you can find that information out online. I'm going to show you a quick demo of what this 32-bit stuff does. Would you like to see that? Yep. Okay, so at the moment you can see that we're recording here with the meters full out red. Oh, I'm going to turn that down. If you normally do that, it's going to sound really crunched and distorted, a 24-bit file would. So let's have a look at what that looks like on a screen here. Okay, so here is a 24-bit recording, and you can see that, and it was recorded with the level set really high so that it was clipping the recording excessively. And you can see that here in the waveform, it's flat topped. And it doesn't matter what I do with that recording now, even if I reduce the gain, you can see that it's still distorted, it's flat topped here. So that recording is pretty much useless, and it's going to sound horrible. Here's a 32-bit recording of the same thing. You can see it's still flat topped here at the top. In fact, it's exceeding 0 dBFS, which is horrible distortion. But what happens if I bring down the gain now on this recording? You can see that all the peaks and troughs are reappearing, and now you have an undistorted recording. So that's what the 32-bit float format allows. It's got such a wide dynamic range, 1,500 dBs actually, which is such a crazy dynamic range. A human body can't even withstand a dynamic range of 250 dB before it explodes. So this is an incredible way of recording. Now,
this doesn't have to be done in any type of specialty software at all. This can be done inside a lot of the normal NLE systems that people are going to be using.
Most most do support it. There are a few that don't, but Pro Tools, Adobe Audition, Adobe Premiere, FCP, X, Reaper, they all support 32-bit float. So,
and you've got 3 different models of these.
Yes.
What are the differences and how much are they?
Right, so basically the essential difference between the 3 models is just I/O, how many mic preamps and how many outputs. So we have a 3, which is the baby of the group, that's got 3 mic preamps, and it's a 5-track recorder. The 6 is a 6-input device, and the 10 is a 10-input device. They get range in price from $649 to $849 to $1,399. That is.
Thanks very much.
No problem.